you have in the city?
The city's got a $200 million shortfall. You have said, quoting here, that the city cannot tax its way into a balanced budget. That means cuts.
It does mean cuts. And what I just to follow up on that, right now our tax revenues in the city are flat, and they're actually going down. We have a $50 million less in sales, $50 million less in income tax. And so when your expenditures are increasing and your taxes are flat, and if you increase your taxes to meet the expenditures this year, you're just going to have to do it again next year unless you can bring down your expenditure side. Because right now the economy is such that we do not see an increase in our revenues in the next couple of years. And so
next couple of years?
Next couple of years, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. But you've called for across-the-board cuts, including social services, which account for a third of the budget. Here is the hard part. Which social services would you cut? How can you take a strategic approach to cutting social services without getting everybody voted out of office?
Well, you certainly, Kojo, as you know, our money is spent in three areas, 80% of the entire budget: social services, public education, and public safety, and then debt service makes up another 12%. So that's where we spend our money. So if you're going to cut, you have to cut in those areas. And so people have to decide, is it going to be social services, education, or the police department? And what I recommended last year, which was not accepted by the council, is to do an across-the-board 4% cut. That'll get you the money that you need in order to balance the budget. That was rejected. So the answer to your question on the social service side is to sit down with the agency directors and say, where is it that you can find money that we can save, even though it's going to affect people, so we can balance this budget. I personally am not overseeing these agencies that I can say, aha, that's the place where we need to save the money. That's the job of the director of the agency, and we need to get that kind of information.
You didn't vote. You didn't vote for the current budget we're in. You said that it was not realistic that the council members and the Mayor Finchie at the time didn't do it right. And you've got a $175 million budget cut you've got to do before January 2nd. Where's that going to go?
Yeah, and again, I voted against the budget for the first time in 19 years back in April and May, because I knew what we were doing was not going to help the city. We ended up with a $175 million shortfall, and at the same time spent down another $300 million out of our savings account, to the point where we have no money left that we can use in our savings account. We just postponed the inevitable to get past the election. Yeah. And so now we're back in the soup with this $175 million. And the answer, Tom, is we have to cut $175 million, or some portion thereof, out of those three areas I talked about.
Councilmember, just looking at political reality, though, it seems to me that you are fighting a lonely fight on fighting against these fighting against tax hikes. The mayor-elect and the chairman-elect have both refused to rule them out. Your colleague from Ward 6 has basically said, who oversees the Human Services Committee, says, listen, I'm willing to cut, but I'm only willing to cut unless we do something on the revenue side.
Tommy Wells, right.
And I think that, basically, if you look at what Vince Gray and Kwame Brown have said, not ruling out tax cuts, I think that's tantamount to saying we're going to hike taxes. Is there anything you can do, accepting that reality, to sort of steer them in ways that would be less harmful economically to the district's future here?
You see,
He's not accepting that reality.
I don't see that, because we've already raised our tax rate. And see, when we talk antiseptically about raising taxes, but then you say, well, which one do you want to raise?
Right.
Our sales tax is the highest in the region at 6%. So you want to go above everybody else. And really, we already saw a $50 million drop in the sales tax. You want to go higher, you'll see a bigger drop. Our property tax on the commercial side is $1.85. It's almost $1 above everybody else. So you can't do that. On the residential side, you want to really raise people's property taxes on the residential side, then you will have an outcry.
We raised the cigarette tax, didn't we? And the revenue dropped.
What about getting rid of
and then so you're into the income tax. And so this idea of raising the top level from 8.5 to the highest in the region, if not the highest in the nation, will bring you a grand total of maybe $30 or $40 million. Okay, so let's do that. So we're still short $135 million. You cannot.
Wow, that's 130. I mean, that's 30 or 40 $million
okay.
that's going to house people, or that's
where are we going to get the other 130?
Pay police officers?
No, but it begs the question. All right, say we do that. We're short $135 million. Now tell me where we're going to cut. I mean, help me get
What
to
about
the
the
cutting.
millionaire's tax?
That's what we're talking about.
right. Well, we're talking
that
about-
gets even
okay.
less.
Well, there's also
that gets you about $20 million.
property tax loopholes. I mean, there's
There really aren't, though, Mike. There aren't those. We have really closed all that stuff.
we've the council's not allowed the
Well, I
these
think we
property
should-
tax rates to raise with the actual levels.
Oh,
of
sure.
property
But again,
values have been raised.
Let's hire more ticket writers.
Then you're talking about raising residential
We are,
property
yeah.
taxes, and you can do that. You can tax your way out of this. You can take our property tax, our income tax, and sales tax, and raise it high enough to get
Right.
$175 million. 2 years from now, you will have no revenue left because people will figure out a way of not paying it because people are taxed to death in this city right now. Go to California. Go to places, New York, who tried that method,
California
and it just didn't work.
California,
Well, allow me to bring the
voters-
listeners in on the conversation. 800-433-8850 is the number to call. We've got a